Hello, everybody. I would like to call this meeting of the Village Head Park Board. Clerk Allison, could we please have a roll call?
Trustee Conboy.
Here.
Trustee Farrell Mayor. Not here yet. Trustee Kennedy.
Here.
Trustee Metz.
Here.
Trustee O'Loughlin. Here. Trustee Wittenberg.
Here.
Trustee Farrell Mayor. Okay. I will count her as absent at this point.
All right, thank you, everybody. We could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the village continues to operate under the emergency declaration of the governor with regards to the Open Meeting Act. To this end, the village board will still conduct business remotely. The village will record this meeting and make it available on its website as soon as possible after the meeting. Until the executive order is lifted, the village will conduct its business 100% remotely. We will not be going to a hybrid system where some of the public attends remotely and some attends in person. We are planning to be either in physical attendance or 100% remote. Persons wishing to submit questions tonight may do so via text message or email or verbally through the Zoom call during the public comment portions of the meeting. At some point in the future, we fully expect to return to normal in the pre-pandemic meeting format. All right, first item of business is to welcome everybody. Again, we are on this Zoom call. We'll record. This will be on the website. We also are on Facebook Live. And I believe we have a YouTube channel that we are on, yes. First item under the agenda is the mayor's report. Coronavirus, the Cook County Department of Public Health has Indiana Head Park with a total of 265 confirmed cases of COVID-19. That's 8 cases more than last month. And our monthly increase is in line with the Cook County's increase. In Cook County, we have about 19% of the population fully vaccinated for COVID. The state has about little over half of the population with at least 1 shot. Under updates for the 294, Joliet Road under the tollway is having new lanes reconstructed. And then if we can have a image, David. And is that on the Zoom call? Okay. We'll be getting a new noise wall from Plainfield Road to the north to about halfway down to Joliet Road. The existing wall will be removed and replaced this year. And a new noise wall will be added along the south side of the southbound ramp onto the 294. And that's also this year. So that is the section of the village as the ramp gets onto the 294 that's close to Chestnut on the Green. For Plainfield Road update, Cook County will have a Plainfield Road open meeting April the 14th, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. If you are interested in joining this online meeting, you need to register at improveplainfieldroad.org. Coming up in a week and a day, SBC will have a garbage amnesty day on April the 16th. SBC will collect 5 yards of trash for 3 vehicle stickers.
Oh, 3 garbage stickers.
Oh, did I say vehicle stickers? Yes, sorry. 3. That would be a lot. 3 garbage stickers. My apologies. And the village will also have a free electronics, paint, recycling, and paper shredding day on June 12th from 9 to 1. But Andy will get more into that later on in the meeting. And if I got anything wrong, Andy will correct me. I would like to thank, and I'd like to congratulate Eileen Donnersberger, Charlie Eck, and Brenda O'Loughlin in their election to the Village Board of Trustees. The election results will be certified near the end of this month. Under sidewalks, again, 4 main areas for the Village Sidewalk Master's Plan. Acacia Drive will be adding this summer a sidewalk along the new Acacia Road, and that will be on the east side of the road. And reminder, the Acacia Drive will be a construction zone all summer. You will be able to get back and forth, but there will be work going on. Plainfield Road and Wolf Road are currently under a phase 1 study. We're expecting Wolf Road to have alternatives available in May for resident review. When they are available, there will be public meetings for the Wolf Road alternative review with the ability to provide feedback. And then that phase 1 will continue for about another year. And approximately a year from now, there will be a second round of alternatives and feedback. And lastly, for the sidewalks, Joliet Road, we have a study of potential right-of-way land acquisition that has recently been started. And I would like to congratulate Linda Merrifield on 5 years with the village and Chief Steve Stelter for 1 year with the village. So thank you both very much. With all that said, we are on to public comments. Anybody on the call, would you like to make a public comment? If you do, please raise your hand or somehow identify yourself. And there are people I can't see, so you'd have to turn on your camera. I'm looking at the attendees and I don't see any hands. We have a couple comments that have come in and Linda will read those, and then a reminder, we have a second opportunity for public comments near the end of the meeting. Linda, do you want to read our comments?
Thank you so much. The first comment that we received was from our resident Sharon Kalinowski. She wrote to us today that she would like to submit this for public comment portion of the April 8th meeting. The question I submitted at the February meeting was addressed but not answered. I asked how much were the total bids for the accounting and audit services. All I know is that one bid was slightly higher by about $700 and the higher bid was accepted. What was the total dollar amount of the bid that was accepted? I can answer that. John was on mute. He answered $29,230. And then the other public comment that I received was from resident Dale Holmquist. Her first comment was, the February meeting video has not been posted to the Indian Head Park webpage. Why not? Number 2 was SBC is offering an amnesty day, but is charging for pickup by purchasing 3 trash stickers. This is not an amnesty, we're paying for it. Number 3 was the Survey Monkey regarding paying more per year for unlimited trash pickup appears to be a bait and switch. We were perfectly happy with Root Services, who picked up all extra items without controversy. We do not want to pay more as individuals or associations for less service. Number 4 is I am still waiting to hear for trash to be removed outside of the Driftwood storefront. It must be a village code violation with tanks and debris stacked there. Again, please remain vigilant to get this done. And her last comment was, can the village offer a household toxic waste trash day for disposal of paints, thinners, batteries, styrofoam, etc. for its residents. Items could be even dropped off at Public Works. This would really help us out. Other villages offer this. Thank you.
I can respond to some of them. I believe that the February meeting is now posted. We had some technical difficulties. As to the survey that we're conducting, it is just a survey. We are trying to accommodate everyone with their thoughts on garbage pickup. We have had some requests. Again, it's just a survey. We will be just discussing that later on in the meeting. As it pertains to Driftwood, I've contacted both the landlord and Driftwood about removing the material in front of their building. And the amnesty day, the bait and switch, that is what we agreed to in the contract. Most people will not need to purchase stickers. 5 cubic yards of material is dozens upon dozens of toters. It is approximately 15 65-gallon toters in size. So 3 stickers for that kind of volume is quite a bit. So a volume for that stickers. And again, that's what we approved in our contract. And then the other question about styrofoam and paint thinner and batteries. No, we don't have any plans for that at the time being. It is very costly to do, and that's not in our horizon for the time being. So thank you.
Thank you, John. All right, looking at the group, and Clerk Allison, if you could note that Rita Farrell, Mayor, has joined the meeting.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought it was next week. This isn't the second Thursday, so I was sorry. My bad.
Thank you.
All right, I'm looking to see if anybody is raising their hand. I do not see anybody. And Linda, any new questions? I don't have any either. Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion for our first item?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as established.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sean and Rita. Any questions or comments from the board? Maureen or Chris, financial report, please.
At the end of February, cash on hand was $2.8 million. Revenues were $835,000. Payables were $801,000. 2 of the larger payables, one was for the water main to Austin Tyler for $86,000, and the other was for some Wolf Road to Strand for $58,000, leaving an ending cash balance of $2.8 million.
Thank you, Maureen. Any other comments from the board? I see none. Clerk Allison, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Trustee Conboy.
Aye.
Trustee Farrell, Mayor.
Aye.
Trustee Kennedy.
Aye.
Trustee Metz.
Aye.
Trustee O'Loughlin.
Aye.
Trustee Wittenberg.
Aye.
Thank you.
And just for my clarification, which Sean made the motion? Sean Kennedy.
Kennedy, yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, under new business, item A, would somebody like to make a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 21-04, the budget and capital plan for 2021-2022 fiscal year.
I'll second.
Thank you, Chris and Sean. John?
You have before you the budget and capital plan for the new fiscal year. We held the public hearing in accordance with the Illinois law last month, and there were no comments received. Since the public hearing, two changes have been made to the budget. One, we received notice of substantial increase in the cost for Acacia Drive for some stormwater management work. That is included in the budget along with the corresponding revenue item for that item. We also approved through the Public Works Committee recommends increasing the sanitary sewer budget by $105,000 to take care of some capital work. We're looking to obtain some economies of scale with the increase. This also is being taken care of with cash on hand, and we stay at or above our minimum requirements for cash on hand per policy. That being said, I would request that we pass the budget as presented.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I just want to thank everyone for their work, hard work on the budget. John, Helia, and the Finance Committee. Appreciate everything everyone did.
Thank you, Chris, and I will add my thank you to everybody. Anybody else?
I do have one other comment, sir. The budget is balanced. That is, revenues will exceed expenses. It's been challenging with COVID. The village continues to monitor our resources diligently, and we are well aware of our spending limits. One thing to note in the budget is that any of the large capital items, even though we're approving them in the budget, still have to come before the board for approval at that time. This is for the main capital construction work. Things like vehicle purchases we'll just take care of on our own, but that is the gist of the budget. So thank you, sir.
Okay, looking one more time. I don't see anybody. Clerk Allison, could we please have a roll call vote?
Yes. Trustee Metz,
Aye.
trustee Kennedy,
Aye.
trustee Farrell Mayor,
Aye.
trustee Conboy,
Aye.
trustee O'Loughlin,
Aye.
and trustee Wittenberg.
Aye.
All right, that's passed. Thank you.
All right, would somebody like to make a motion on our schedule of fees?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-05, establishing the fee schedule for the village as printed with the following change to bed fees from $150 to $175.
I'll second.
Thank you, Brenda and Rita. John, is this you?
Yes, sir. Annually, we review our fees and we are making recommended changes in the fee schedule. The changes are relatively minor. And in some areas, we're actually eliminating fees, such as for water softeners. We're also eliminating the fee for fingerprinting for people. This is just a service we provide. So staff recommends approval of the ordinance as motioned. Thank you.
Any questions? Looking. Clerk Allison, could we please have a roll call vote?
Right. Trustee O'Loughlin,
Aye.
trustee Wittenberg,
Aye.
trustee Metz,
Aye.
trustee Kennedy,
Aye.
trustee Conboy,
Aye.
and trustee Farrell Mayor.
Aye.
Thank you. That also passed.
All right, on to the fence ordinance revision. Trustee Kennedy, would you like to make a motion?
I will. I'll make a motion to adopt the ordinance 2021-03, an ordinance adopting revisions to the village fence code.
And a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sean and Rita. Sean, are you giving us a recap?
I am. So the Fence and Shed Committee finished up and moved things along to planning and zoning. What we're looking at here is the ordinance as presented is a result of the work of the Shed and Fence Committee and the Planning and Zoning Commission. It still maintains that all fences need approval through the special use process. It will also require that fences be removed upon the sale of the property. The existing ordinance specifically allows for fences to be used as screening for garbage cans along the side or back of a residence. Other than that, I think everything stayed exactly how it was.
Thank you, Sean. Any questions from the board?
How will we enforce the ordinance?
I'm going to defer to John, obviously, on that, right?
Staff will tour the village periodically, looking for fences. We will also respond to resident complaints. Once we make our list of places in the village that have fences approved, we will file with the county, with the recorder of deeds, something to the effect on the deed that the fence has to be removed upon the sale of the property. As the mayor has said earlier, we are sometimes complaint driven. So if your neighbor has a fence and you wish to report it, please submit your comment through our web portal. That's how we'll enforce it.
Thank you, Sean and John. Any questions or comments from the trustees? I would like to take a moment to thank the Shed and Fence Committee. I appreciate all the effort from Sean and Rita and all the residents that participated. All right, I don't see any comments coming. Clerk Allison, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Kennedy,
Aye.
trustee Farrell Mayer,
Aye.
trustee Metz,
Aye.
trustee O'Loughlin,
Aye.
trustee Wittenberg,
Aye.
and trustee Conboy.
Aye.
Thank you. That passed.
All right, next up is item D, the ordinance for video gaming. Would a trustee like to make a motion, please?
Sure. I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-06, an ordinance allowing for video gaming at Willow Hills Restaurant.
I'll second it.
I'll second.
Thank you, Chris and Brenda. John, do you want to give us a brief overview?
The village strictly regulates the number of video gaming establishments and machines in the village. Willow Hills Restaurant, although they received a state license 10 plus years ago, is now requesting a gaming license. They have the room in the facility for this, and there is no compelling reason not to grant this request. We've had no instances of police activity at any of our video gaming establishments worth mentioning. So it is not a police issue, so to speak. So staff recommends approval of the ordinance.
Thank you, John. Any questions or comments?
I do have a question. John, is this the last location that feasibly could have one in the village?
Correct.
So,
The law states that you have to have a liquor license, and this is the last place in the village with a liquor license that does not have video gaming.
thank you.
Any other?
Hey, John, correct me if I'm wrong. Driftwood does not have video gaming, correct?
They have a license, but they do not have any games in the facility. There was an issue with the landlord, and they removed voluntarily their machines.
Thank you.
But so they're keeping their license, they're paying for that, correct?
Correct.
Other questions, comments? Clerk Allison, if you could get us another roll call vote, please.
Trustee Metz,
Aye.
trustee Farrell Mayer,
Aye.
trustee Conboy. Trustee Conboy,
No.
No?
No.
Okay, no, thank you. Trustee Metz. Did I call upon trustee Metz?
You did already.
I'm sorry. Trustee Kennedy. No,
Aye.
yeah, all right. Trustee Brenda O'Loughlin
Aye.
and trustee Wittenberg.
Aye.
Okay, did I get everyone this time? Okay, thank you. So that's 5-1.
That was approved. Thank you. Okay, we're moving right along to the report section.
First reading of the shed.
Oh, I missed it. My apologies. First reading of the shed ordinance. John, is that you or Sean?
Trustee Kennedy.
Trustee Kennedy.
Sorry, John. Reading the whole thing?
No, yeah, just summarize it, or I can if you want.
Go ahead, please.
All right, so this is proposed revisions to the shed ordinance. It's a framework for discussion or questions tonight, and then we will develop the ordinance to be presented at the next meeting for approval at the June meeting. All sheds must be approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission and ultimately the village board as a special use. When approving new sheds, special consideration shall be given to houses without basements and/or ones with single-car garages in the area known as the Robert Bartlett subdivision, which is the area behind Walgreens. There are a number of non-permitted sheds. Consideration will be made into streamlining the application process in terms of legal notification and overall expense to the property owners. And all sheds, including those approved at future dates, must be removed upon the sale of the property. And that is the gist of what came out of the Shed and Fence Committee.
And if I remember right, this was the Shed and Fence Committee and also Planning and Zoning, correct?
Correct.
And we are talking about it tonight. We're not taking any action. Much like the fence ordinance, we will talk about it for at least a couple months before taking action. Any comments from the board members?
I have a question. So if a shed is approved, say within the next couple months, when they go to sell the house, that shed is no longer allowed to the new homeowner? They have to take it down?
Correct.
So they have to go through the whole process again?
Correct.
And obviously that could be changed by the board and discussed at a future meeting.
Yeah, is there a way to change that? And I mean, some of those houses there have single car garages, they're on slabs, they don't have basements. So storage is at a real premium, especially for outdoor items. Is there a way to change that proposed ordinance to reflect or to be able to allow them to keep sheds in that section of town?
Well, Chris, I think the way that we did this, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, is if somebody is in that area and the board and or the village allows them to have a shed, that technically, yes, upon vacating that property, the new owner has to take it down. But if it's the same property, the previous owner got a variance, the new owner can come before the board and get a variance. It might be a new board, but why wouldn't they approve it for that owner as well if it's the same situation?
But Chris, the answer to your question, yes, that can be changed. Again, we're talking about this.
Well, the Shed and Fence Committee made the recommendation for those of us that went to some of the meetings. So Sean chaired a committee and Rita, and they had a discussion, lively discussions about various topics, and came to the conclusion that this was going to be the Shed and Fence ordinance. And the last meeting that many of us attended, there was a lot of controversy regarding this whole topic, that there were people on the call that felt like there were no real changes made to the fence and shed ordinance And the committee made a vote that they weren't going to meet again to discuss the item in any more detail. They had a vote, and it was voted with the people at the meeting that they would not proceed with another meeting to discuss the issues, with really no changes being made in this to any significant extent. I might have missed some of that, Sean, but that's how I remembered it happening. So there are things in there that some people didn't agree with and some people did agree with. And then it was discussed that even though there were people that disagreed, that they wouldn't move forward with talking about it at another committee meeting, that the Shed and Fence Committee would bring this to the Plan Committee and to the VBT. So there was a lot of things that people felt should be different, but that wasn't what the majority of people felt. So yes, it could be changed, but that's not what the Fence and Shed Committee said, the majority of the people on the committee. That's why you had the committee.
Right, John, can you read the part that you read at the beginning again?
Yes, all sheds must be approved by planning and zoning and ultimately by the village board as a special use. When approving new sheds, special consideration shall be given in certain situations, houses with no basements, one-car garages. We're going to try to streamline the process, especially for the area behind the Robert Bartlett subdivision. And the main point is item 4, all sheds, including those approved at future dates, must be removed upon the sale of the property. And the village attorney can chime in on this, but the village board is free to change any of the wording in this draft as they see fit. It is ultimately the village board's decision. It's a policy decision of the village. So that's why we're having it as a discussion item tonight.
So we have, anybody in the village can come before the board. Special consideration will be for the Bartlett community, again, the community behind Walgreens specifically, because their homes and storage is different than the rest of the community. You know, I think rather than just a no shed, what brought us to this, if I'm incorrect, please correct me, was that we were going to have all these people take these sheds down 6 months ago.
Correct.
And we decided that that was not the way to handle it, that should we have discussions, are there certain people that can't come before the board for variance, whatever the way to streamline it to do it is. And I think that that's what we did. It wasn't ultimately a major overhaul change to the ordinance, no, but it was, rather than just a hard, fast no, we at least gave some people an opportunity to come before the board to make a case to say, yes, I need one. I assume, and again, maybe I'm wrong, but as a whole, the village does not want everybody to be putting a shed in their backyard. So the only other logical change would be to just get rid of the ordinance and allow people to have sheds.
And I don't have any problem with a shed ordinance overall. However, where it's warranted in a situation like the Bartlett homes and those people who already have one, if they go to sell the property, the new owner has to apply for a variance. Is that going through the whole variance process? What's our fee is $750, I think.
Correct.
To apply for a variance, and there's no guarantee that you'll get it. I think it devalues the property, and to Trustee Wittenberg's statement, I do appreciate the work that the committee did, and but obviously they make a recommendation to the zoning commission. The zoning commission or zoning board makes a recommendation to us, and it's up to us to decide what to do with that recommendation. The majority of the board may feel that everything as presented is good. I just happen to think that it's an onerous condition to include in this ordinance.
So just one question. I thought that there were a number of properties in Bartlett Estates that had special use variances for a variety of sheds. Not only in Bartlett Estates, but several places in the village. I forget how many, 28 in total or some total in the 90s were given special use variances for sheds, including Bartlett Estates. So some people have them already, and then there were a number of people that had sheds but did not have special use. So, and so I think we're talking about the people that haven't already had special use, right? The people that have existing special use will not have to reapply, correct?
Correct. If they have an existing ordinance approval now by the village, they do not have to reapply. It's only those persons who do not have permission from the village through an ordinance. They have to reapply. And we're going to try to streamline the process because there are a number of them in the Robert Bartlett subdivision.
Okay, and am I understanding correctly that if they sell their house, the shed has to go
Correct. That is in the current draft.
regardless of whether they have a special use ordinance or a special use
Correct.
permission or not?
So I know that we received several letters from realtors about this topic, that they felt it was a huge impediment to selling properties in a variety of places. If a person had a shed, an existing shed, and it was quite nice, and then the seller would have to disclose, we have to tear the shed down, and then you have to get a variance to put it back up. So to me, that seems a bit unreasonable. But like I said, now we're debating this when the Shed and Fence Committee already did.
So if I might make a suggestion, I'm sorry, Trustee Wittenberg, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought you were finished. Did you want to finish?
I'm finished.
So with the existing properties that have a special use, maybe since this isn't being voted upon tonight, maybe between now and the next meeting, John and I can sit down and look at those. These are good points that are being raised. And if those special uses were drafted such that they ran with the land, you know, and now to impose a condition on an existing special use that wasn't a part of that original grant of a special use, namely that the shed has to be removed upon sale of the property. I share concern about that. So I would want to drill down a little bit further on kind of the subset of that issue, which is the existing sheds that have a special use, if that makes sense.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good to move on. Any other last comments on this for tonight?
One more quick one, John. Did we, for the Bartlett people, and not necessarily just them, but the $750 fee, weren't you looking at doing some consolidation that if multiple people came forward at the same time, rather than charge each one $750, the village was going to look at a reduction of kind of a cumulative cost? Okay.
One of the things that is included in your $750 is we do all of the mailings and legal notices, which can be quite cumbersome. And we have to notify everybody within 250 feet of the property, excluding roads. So we basically will draw a big circle around the subdivision and do a mass mailing. Every case will be individual, but we'll be able to take economies of scale with the mailing. So we can reduce our costs that way. So that's why I'm looking to do individual cases, but a legal notice in mass, so to speak, complying with law. I'm just trying to help out the residents and streamline the process.
Okay, if
Right,
everybody's
but
all right. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, the only point is that some of these people had a shed for 40 years. So to their point, they're getting a special use permit for something they already had there for 40 years. So, you know, maybe you guys can talk a little bit about the reasonableness of many of them that have had it sitting there. And now just because we want to enforce it, they've got to do this. So I know it's sticky wicket, but
Well, and I think that there is some wiggle room in the ordinance, and I will just throw this out as a thought. There is a big difference between having a shed with a foundation that is made of brick or wood, as opposed to me going to Menards and getting a plastic shed. I think we need to have some consideration possibly. If I'm going to spend $10,000 on a shed, that's one thing. $500 is something completely different. So I'll put some thoughts together with the village attorney and I'll bring it back to you at the next meeting, and then we'll talk about it, and then maybe June or July, we can have final action.
And just to Amy's point, I know it hasn't been enforced, but I went through this with Pat on another issue. Makeup.
We met, I think, at the very start of COVID. So at the direction of the board.
Okay, any other comments? Going once, twice, 3 times. Okay, we're at the agenda item for reports. We'll start with trustees. I will go around the dais, starting with trustee Rita Feo-Mayer.
I have no report. I was at the egg hunt. It was awesome. And Amy and Brenda did an incredible job with it. So.
Thank you. Trustee Chris Metz.
The only thing I wanted to mention, I'm going to ask John to talk about a little bit, the Heritage Center. We did an air quality study. And I wonder, John, if you could talk about the results of that.
We had a study done. We got a report of mold in the building, and there was some concern about it. So we tested all 3 levels of the Heritage Center. The basement and upper level came clear of mold. We did have some mold in the air on the main level, and that is due to the number of books we have. So it is not an unhealthy situation, but if you have mold allergies, you might be impacted a little bit. We'll be putting in a dehumidifier and opening the windows as appropriate to get some airflow through, but it is, the building is safe from a breathing perspective, aside from a little bit of mold in the air.
So nothing out of the ordinary when you have a collection of books.
Correct.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Amy Jo Wittenberg.
Easter egg hunt was really, really fun, a great day. Thank you, everybody that came out to help, Rita and Brenda, and a bunch of volunteers from the community. So thank you. I think we had over 200 people, 250 people, and 3,000 eggs. So also, Linda, thank you for your help. We appreciate it, and everybody in the administrative offices and Public Works for doing all of our signs. The only other item I had, John, you and I talked about just very quickly going through what we talked about at the police committee meeting. And Steve, if I forget anything, I'm sure you can fill in the blanks. We had a police committee meeting in late March and talked about a lot of the activities that are going on in the police department. It was a really great meeting. Steve has got a lot of momentum in the police department right now, and I'm just going to list some of those things very quickly. We have some technology initiatives for 2021. We're looking at a SaaS, software as a service capability called Click It. The village has received a master services agreement and a statement of work from the company for a cloud-based system to provide administration, automation, and optimization, for tickets, adjudication, and other financial and resource management for the police department. It's a really neat system. You can look online under Click It, and Steve will be implementing that with his team, possibly during the fall of 2021. The video camera evaluation is moving forward. John, the chief, and the deputy chief are looking at vendors for camera systems and technology across the village. There will be an RFP created for these cameras, and that will be done sometime in mid to late April. Citizens Police Academy, Steve had to delay the CPA because of COVID, but is now rescheduled for May, and we have several residents that are signed up to participate in the Citizens Police Academy. Cook County Dispatch, the chief met and toured the Cook County Dispatch Center in late March. We identified a couple of punch list items with the dispatch center regarding some issues regarding dead spots and some other things, but Steve's working with them working with them to make sure we get those things done. Another item is the senior and community service officer. Steve is looking at integrating a senior services officer, a community service officer that would be focused on senior issues in IHP, and integrating this position into the police department later in the year. Proposed state mandates. The chief is working on items that are in the most current police reform bill that was passed in Springfield several weeks ago. It has major impacts on police operations, and he is working to incorporate the necessary changes for compliance with all of the mandates, both now, which will happen in July, and into the future over the next 2 years. Steve will also be sharing the 10 shared principles from the Illinois Chiefs of Police Association. And we had a great meeting and look forward to seeing all of the changes in the police department. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Trustee Brenda O'Loughlin.
Yes, I want to announce that this summer we'll be having 2 picnic and movies at Blackhawk Park along with C-Spar. They'll be joining us again. They will be on Saturday, August 14th and Saturday, September 25th. We will have to wait and see whether or not we will be able to actually do the barbecue as well as the cotton candy and the popcorn and that in regards to COVID. And that's more to come when it gets closer to the event in that, but anyhow, put that on your calendar, Saturday, August 14th and Saturday, September 25th. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Trustee Sean Kennedy.
Yeah, a couple things to summarize what took place at the Public Works meeting on the 31st. Committee discussed the idea of going to a take-all program with the garbage service. We talked a little bit about it earlier tonight. That is, it projected to be somewhere between $1 to $2 extra per week per resident. We're conducting a survey via the website right now, and there should be a survey coming out in smoke signals. We're also reaching out to residents via social media, so please look for that and give us feedback. We discussed changes to the capital plan that are now part of the adopted budget. Lastly, we also discussed the continued removal of the buckthorn in the village-owned property. So I want to talk specifically about the area off of 70th Place where the MWRD, also known as the Sanitary District, they came in and removed all the buckthorn along Flag Creek, just west of Wolf Road, again off of that 70th Place. Everything that was removed there is going to be replaced with native plantings. So I know it looks kind of barren right now, but hold tight. There's going to be something planted there that will be better than what was just removed, hopefully. So that's basically a nutshell from the Public Works meeting.
Thank you, Sean. If I can add one item, the village engineer did the road assessment. We do that about every 5 years, so that ongoing capital plans will now be updated with the road assessment. Moving along, Trustee Sean Comboy, anything to report? No report. Thank you. Village Clerk, anything to report?
No report.
Thank you. Village Treasurer?
No report.
Thank you. Village Attorney.
No report, just a reminder, there will be a request for a closed session later in the meeting for land acquisition.
Thank you. Village Administrator.
No report.
And department heads. I see Chief Steve Stelter. Steve, I think you're up. Thank you, waiting patiently.
No problem. Thank you very much, Mr. President, Board, and all the citizens out there. Speaking with John tonight, he kind of wanted to give you guys an overview of the last year. As you said, I just finished a year not too long ago, and I want to say it's been a good year, and I'm very happy to with Indian Head, be at Indian Head Park, and I hope the same is true. But it's been a good move for me, and I really enjoy this community, this town, and the people that I work with. They're really good, quality people. This past year, I won't bore you with a long triad of things, but I have been able to accomplish a few things. COVID, in a way, was a blessing for me as a brand new chief. I was here a week and then COVID hit. So that really gave me an opportunity to delve into the police department. And I went through files, met with the officers, I was able to talk with them more and then build on the relationship with them. And I was able to, as I had talked about prior to being hired, I was able to put out a new policy manual in about 4 months. Usually it takes me 6 to 8 months if I do something like that, but it only took me 4 months this time. And I was able to update and have a relevant policy manual within the department rather than the Lexipol policy, which a service that's provided to communities if they want, and saves the village $3,500 a year by not having to renew every year with Lexipol, and everything is relevant in the manual that I put out. Lexipol is a good service. However, this is tailored specific to the Indian Head Park Police Department. I was able to get myself a deputy chief within the department. I thought it's good for stabilization within the department and solidify it in regards to the command structure. So Mike Kernick was promoted to deputy chief. We brought in the administrative toll policy on arrests, where we charge violators and offenders that we arrest, and we tow their vehicles $500 to get their cars back, which is a policy where most of the police departments in the area have it. And so we got on board with that as well. I was able to add an officer to the 2 task forces that we have at the police department. We have the Major Crimes Task Force with the South Suburban Chiefs of Police. Then we have the Major Case Assistance Team, which is MCAT, which also conducts investigations on a lower scale than the major crimes. And so we had an officer, John Cassane, onto that task force and got him some good training, but that gives him good experience. And, it gives these officers a chance to really get a little bit more excited about the job, because they're doing investigative things, stuff they wouldn't do normally here in Indian Head Park, because we enjoy such a low crime rate. But he gets to go out and assist other agencies, do investigations, do interviews, do surveillances, things like that, to give him a well-rounded view of the job. And like I said, they get excited about doing these call outs. And John's a great guy. He's got a great attitude and is willing to go anytime, any place, whenever he's needed. We sent 2 officers through a 40-hour supervision school through this Illinois State Training Board. I want to start grooming some of these guys as they move forward and move on in the years to be future supervisors, future leaders of this police department. When myself and Mike are no longer here, we want to have a couple of people that are able to step in there and do some good leadership, and the training is going to help them. So this is a special school for first line supervisors. It's through the Illinois State Training Board, and that was a 40-hour class that they had to attend and do. It was all online, but there's a lot of homework involved. It's a college type course, and at the end they get their certificates and they get certified by the state of Illinois. So that was a good accomplishment for both of those officers. And kudos to Chris Gardner, who really stepped it up, because at the point in time he was going to school, he happened to lose his mother as well during that school time. So that was a rough road for Chris, but he got it done and he really knuckled down and did it. And then lastly, real quick, just recently made a social media officer for the police department, Officer Steve Rubin on midnight shift. He's got a department Facebook page going on now, so we're joining the rest of the community out there with Facebook and our social media, and he is going to be maintaining that page along with Linda, who's kind of bringing him along. This is very new to Steve, so Linda's been a great help in helping him. And, it's a better way for us too to communicate. If we got to get the word out quick about something, if there's burglaries going on, if there's gypsy scams going on throughout the community, if there's any kind of ruse crimes going on, Facebook's a great way to get the word out to everybody quickly, instantly. And I look forward to that. I look forward to Steve, who's gonna, improve on that as he goes along. And please, if you're out there, go ahead and pull the page up, become a friend, and join us on Facebook. So that's just kind of it in a nutshell. There's a few more things, but like I said, I'm not going to bore you with this, did this and did that and the next thing. But it's been a great ride for me this first year, and I look forward to this upcoming year to bring in more things, and we'll just keep marching along and improve the police department. We're going to make it the best police department that we can for Indian Head Park and the job that we do for the residents. And I encourage any residents to please reach out to me if they have any complaints, if they want to contact me for any reason whatsoever. I'm always available. Go to police department webpage and my email link is right there. You can just click on it, or please give me a call on the phone. And if I don't answer when I'm sitting in the office, I guarantee I'll get back to you very shortly. So that is my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Andy, I think you're up.
Thank you, Mayor Henshaw. I'm just going to cover first electrical aggregation, then I'll talk some about garbage services. First, for electrical aggregation, notices were mailed out to residents on March 22nd. Every notice had the village logo on it to kind of show that it's official, it's not a scam. And I would say it's important for residents when they receive their notice to read the one that was mailed to them. Reading a neighbor's notice or comparing notices is actually not advised because different notices are sent out to different accounts depending on their individual electricity usage and account history. Secondly, for those who did receive opt-out notices, April 14th is the deadline for opting out, although this is really more of a soft deadline. It's possible to opt out or leave the program at any point without any penalty or fee. And there are a couple ways to opt out. They are listed on the notices, but you can email, call, or send the notice opt-out form back in the mail. Also, there's a couple questions that we've received, so I'll just kind of go over them now for residents who are interested. The first kind of area that we've received, some people have asked about renewable energy certificates and how that all plays in with the aggregation program. So the best way I can explain it is whenever renewable energy is generated, whether it's from a windmill, solar panels, hydropower, etc., two things are produced. First and foremost, the actual electricity that's fed into the grid. And secondly, a numbered audited certificate called a renewable energy certificate or a REC. And that is the only currency recognized in the renewable energy market that's from the EPA. And it is a marketable and tradable item. So for our program, LIGO is going to be purchasing these on our behalf and retiring them, and therefore reducing the carbon footprint of Indian Head Park. And again, this is at no new cost to residents. All residents who are part of the program will pay the same that they would with ComEd. It's a match, and it will stay that way. For those who are more interested in learning about renewable energy and renewable energy certificates, I would urge residents to go to our website. We have a FAQ page. There's an excellent video on there about that can explain it even more in depth than I can. And so another question received is whether LIGO, who is the alternate supplier that we've chosen, or NIMEC, who is our electrical consultant, whether they are for-profit companies, and the answer is yes, they both are. LIGO is for-profit business, and it's undertaking the risk of offering the ComEd matching rate in the hope of making a profit. And NIMEC is also a for-profit business, and NIMEC is paid by the supplier, Aligo. Neither of them will charge the village. And again, residents will pay the same ComEd rate. And then final thing, some residents had mentioned or asked if we had heard about a couple of years ago, Aligo was involved in a investigation from the Illinois Attorney General's office. And this is something we were made aware of in the vetting process. It wasn't a concern because, for one, NIMEC, which runs hundreds of aggregation programs, they thoroughly vet their suppliers that they work with, including Aligo. And that includes an interview process and research, and they concluded that it wasn't an issue and that they trusted them. And the main reason is that Aligo was never sued by the Attorney General's office. It was involved in an investigation because at the time, Aligo's third-party vendor, who was in charge of their marketing and signing people up, had actually been making some deceptive calls. Aligo actually was the one they found out about this, and they self-reported the issue to the Illinois Commerce Commission. And then they recompensated the ratepayers as well, and Aligo was forced, or not Aligo, the third-party vendor was forced to do so. So we didn't see that as a concern. We were aware of it though. And then finally, for residents who have questions, I would just say Aligo customer care is open or available from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and their phone number is 708-300-9324, and they can help answer your questions. Or if you would like, feel free to give me a call. My number at the village is 708-246-3080, extension 178. And so that's all I have about electrical aggregation. I guess on to refuse and recycling. As Trustee Kennedy mentioned, we had a public works meeting last month, and one of the things we discussed was garbage and the possibility of adjusting the waste franchise agreement with SBC in order to increase service to a take-all program similar to what most residents had prior with Root. And excuse me, under this new program, every resident would be given a toter from SBC and would pay a flat monthly fee. There would be different rates depending on senior and non-senior. And the reason we asked for this proposal from SBC was because we had heard from some residents interested in that kind of program. Now, what the Public Works Committee decided was that it would be beneficial to send out a survey to residents so we could gauge interest in that kind of program and also get their opinions on the program in general. And so I would urge residents, it's on our Facebook page, I think our Instagram page, as well as our website. And for those who don't want to do it online, it will also be sent out in the smoke signals, which should be put in the mail next week. And you can just return that to Village Hall, either in the office or drop it off at the silver drop box outside. In regards to garbage services for the month of March, on the village side, we only received 2 complaints. They were both pretty minor. They're complaints related to bulk items and the pickup on that. And then on the SBC side, we received a total of, let me look at my notes really quick. We received a total from SBC of 6 complaints, and these were all fairly minor as well. And overall, the billing issues as well as the recycling contamination issues have gone down a little bit over the last month. Hopefully we continue to see reduced recycling contamination in the future. And that's all I have on the month of March and garbage. For upcoming things, I would reiterate what the mayor said about next week being the amnesty pickup for 3 garbage stickers. You can put up to 5 yards of waste out. This includes things like chairs, tables, bulk items like that. And then also in June 12th on a Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. we are having a electronics and paint recycling day at Public Works, at the Public Works building. There will be more info on that in the smoke signals that's coming out next week as well. And I would also mention that tomorrow, since yard waste season has started again, tomorrow's pickup, since it's the second week of yard waste collection, yard waste is free. So if you got yard waste, put it out tomorrow. You don't need a sticker. And I think that's all I got. I would urge residents to definitely fill out that survey. That we would really appreciate the input. But that is all I have. So I'll hand it back to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Andy. John, did I get everybody? Okay, we are at the last item on the agenda, public comments. I think I see Charlie's hand. Linda, you'll check and see if you have any come in. Charlie.
I just emailed her.
Very simply, as far as Andy's report was concerned in regards to SBC, I think it's significant to point out that SBC was had a complaint filed in court by Ashbrook, and that was not mentioned in the SBC overview, and would suggest that that be part of the report. That's all.
Thank you, Charlie. Lori, did you raise your hand?
I did, but I just sent a letter to Linda's email.
All right, Linda's nodding, so that, let me see if there's any other live comments. And I don't see any other. Linda, are you ready to read that?
All right, thank you so much. I actually have two public comments. The first one is from Amy Eckert, who is in Acacia. Her statement was, is there a reason that at the March 2021 board meeting during the first comment section, 2 comments were submitted and explained, but at the end of the meeting, when an email letter from another resident was read in the minutes, it simply mentions the letter was about the acquisition of the Lionsville Church. Why didn't the specific questions asked get included in the meeting minutes? And then I do have also another public comment from Miss Lori Davis. And she wrote, hi, Linda, I completed the survey about SCC. I wish there had been a place for comments. We personally like the leaf pickup as the leaves fall week by week, not all at once. It's simple and economical. I would far prefer a day earlier in the week for garbage pickup, but there was no place for that in the comments. We are hugely disappointed at the loss of Amy Wittenberg from the board. She is smart, thoughtful, logical, practical, and well-spoken. I hope she stays involved as a concerned citizen. We need her. The condo and townhouses flexed their muscles, and they should have adequate representation as evidenced by the Acacia Drive issue. The open forum meetings where residents were urged to attend were quite useless relative to the Acacia Drive sidewalk and tree loss, and as well as pot sale issues. The condo owner showed on April 6th that their votes and comments do count. Our understanding is that the Acacia Drive issue never went to B and Z. I'd like to know why. I am hopeful that going forward, the trustees will pay better attention to the comments by the residents. Thank you, Lori Davis. And that is all I have.
I know one of the questions from Amy was about the church. I'm going on memory, John. I believe the church was on the agenda last month.
Discussion, yes.
Discussion, right, no vote, but I think we've been discussing the church for about a year, so I don't remember the specific questions that were asked. So I apologize if we did not answer the question. Any other questions or comments?
Tom, I don't think that there was a question. I think there was a comment that it wasn't included in the minutes. There was no question about the church. It was just the letter about the church was not included in the minutes.
Ah,
That's what was stated.
thank you, Chris.
So is there a remedy for that?
Well, we approved the minutes for the March meeting.
Oh, that's passed.
Yeah, I mean, the minutes have already been approved. If there was a letter submitted, it's and referenced, it's of record by reference. So I'm not sure that the exact copy needs to be attached. I'm not sure that it was requested to be attached, first of all. And second of all, as you all know, the minutes of the meeting are not necessarily, or they're not required under the law to be a verbatim recitation in any event. So I think that if it was referenced, I think that's sufficient in terms of the legal requirements for the minutes.
Yeah, but obviously if somebody wanted to watch the recording, they could hear the entire contents of that letter.
And anyone could also request it via FOIA.
Right.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? All right, would somebody like to make a motion?
No comments to my letter.
I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and move to closed session for the
Second.
purposes
Oh, sorry.
of land acquisition per 5 ILCS 120/2 C5.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Amy and Brenda. Clerk Allison.
Should we talk about that?
Oh, okay, go ahead, John. You can talk about that.
I would request from the village attorney guidance on our intention to adjourn the meeting immediately after closed session and not coming back into open session.
Sure. So I thought Trustee Wittenberg made the motion properly, but just for the record,
Okay.
the motion would be to adjourn the regular meeting to go into the executive session for the stated purpose, and there will be no additional business conducted after the closed session.
Okay, thank you. That's what I heard too. I just wanted to make sure that everybody else heard it too.
That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Clerk Allison, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, we could. Let's do trustee Conboy,
Aye.
trustee Farrell Mayor,
Aye.
trustee Kennedy,
Aye.
trustee Metz,
Aye.
trustee O'Loughlin,
Aye.
and trustee Wittenberg.
Aye.
All right, thank you. That has passed.
All right, the meeting is
Meeting adjourned.
adjourned. We will take a couple of minutes and we will be back.